Yo people, welcome back. Now episode 6 has dropped for the Ahsoka show and I personally would give this episode a 7.5 out of 10. It was never going to live up to the hype of the last episode and it was always going to be a tough act to follow, especially if you're a casual fan. Now for us that have watched the animated stuff, this episode I think will get higher ratings as we saw a ton of world building and just seeing all the different characters have their own stories really start to pick up now. They're starting to build up, they're starting to merge, and it's creating this huge melting point which will be explored during the last 2 episodes. Let's start with Admiral Thrawn, and his entrance was very well done. Nothing cringe, nothing over the top. Just something very empowering and showing why he's so feared and why there's been so much anticipation throughout this whole season. I think Lars has done a very good job. He was the voice actor for Thrawn in the animated series and it has really just transitioned very well into live action. He seems very calculated, but you can't predict him. Now, one thing is I do wish that he was a bit more in shape, but Thrawn is older than when we last saw him, so I kind of get it and I'll let it slide. He has all these troopers who I'll talk about shortly. He has Enoch as well, who is his personal bodyguard, as well as having the Nightsisters just bowing down to him. So he's pretty untouchable at the moment. He's the kingpin of this whole thing, which is not a good sight for all the good guys. So in my opinion, I believe that the stormtroopers are all dead. They've been resurrected, brought back to life, however you want to call it, by the Nightsisters. The same way that we saw Marek was just some green smoke, I believe these troopers are the exact same. Since we're talking about the Nightsisters, let's talk about them and their live action appearance. For those of you who are not familiar with their game, watch out because they're on a different level. I wouldn't say Palpatine was personally scared of them, but he knew they were a threat. And Count Dooku himself hated them, especially after they betrayed him, and that's why in the Clone Wars Grievous got sent to wipe out their whole race, and in doing so, managing to frame the Jedi since Grievous uses blue and green lightsabers. That's why in this episode they have such a Jedi agenda, and that's why the Nightsisters hate the Jedi, as we see in Jedi Fallen Order for example. These Nightsisters once together are very dangerous, and I believe that they may get out of this galaxy and probably go back to Dathomir to resurrect all of the fallen Nightsisters, and that would cause a third party element and a different problem for our heroes. Let's move on to Baylan, who for me was once again one of the most interesting characters in this episode. We can see he's really on that balance wave, he's conflicted. He basically wants to start his own temple, his own order. He seems to want to have that togetherness that the Jedi had, and he kind of misses it. But he wants to do this with his own set of rules. He says that he hears a voice calling to him as well, and he's asking Shin, do you hear it? How do you not see it? So I'm personally not sure who this is, but it'll be interesting to find out what it is. And in this episode in particular, Shin has looked kind of sus. I think that she will turn on Baylan, but I'm not 100% sure if she'll turn to the good or will she go down an even darker path. She just doesn't seem to be on board with Baylan's plans anymore. She's asking a lot of questions and she even says stuff along the lines of, why are we still here? Why are we just so persistent of being here when not even the Nightsisters and Thrawn want to stay here? So she's very she doesn't understand, and she may think that he's being unreasonable, and I don't know, I think she may make a rash decision by the end of this. She will betray Baylan. I personally would prefer if she went down the evil route, just because I think we've been seeing a lot of characters that go from bad to good. Characters like Reva, Fennec Shand, Boba Fett, Iden Versio, and so on. Now Sabine, the character who has taken the most L's in this series. I think again, they've built up her power levels very good. Slowly but surely, nothing too OP. We got to see her hold her own ground against a couple of people who tried to ambush her. But most importantly in this episode for her, she finally found Ezra Bridger. Now, unfortunately, we're going to have to wait until next week to see Ezra Bridger's powers, see what he's been up to really, other than helping that turtle population thing to survive. I personally have heard rumours that he will apparently be so powerful that he doesn't need a lightsaber, but we'll just wait and see. But yeah, overall, I thought the episode was good. If I had to nitpick some stuff, then I'd say that the way Sabine finds Ezra and Ezra's unveiling, it didn't seem that special compared to Thrawn's. So for casuals, it may seem like, okay, now what? It was obvious that she was going to find him. But one thing I can respect is that they made it a bit more interesting than when Rey has to go and find Luke Skywalker in The Force Awakens. Another nitpick is the choreography for the fighting. It looks a bit slow. It just looks like it's rehearsed, you can tell it's rehearsed. So it's nowhere near as bad as the sequels, but I think there's definitely room for improvement and they can definitely step it up a bit. For my predictions going forward, like I said, I think Shin will betray Baylan. As I've said since day one, you can go check the other videos. Thrawn will obviously escape this galaxy, however, I'm not sure all of our heroes will be able to. Ezra will obviously make it, otherwise this whole thing has been kind of pointless. But I do think there's more shocks, there's more twists along the way for the last 2 episodes. Potential Hayden Christensen cameo again, in my opinion. I do think we may see one more glimpse of him, but we'll have to wait and see. So yeah, let me know what you think down below in the comments. Drop a like on the video as well, I really appreciate it. Sub to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in the next one. Have a great rest of your day.